Hey all, thanks for joining us today. We are looking at executing decisions. It's a tenet of MECC. MECC stands for managing, so everyone can contribute. If you're not familiar with MECC, MECC is a new management philosophy to speed up company progress by creating the environment for better decisions and improved execution of them. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sid. He'll share his screen and we'll go example by example on the executing tenets.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it. No matrix organization, good one to include, very important. Not sure I like the name. Maybe it should be exactly one manager or something like that instead. But people tend to understand what you mean with this. Like, don't have people report into two people. Yeah, it's I struggle with it because that's not as clear to people. Here they give an example, dual reporting. Well, that's the thing we don't do. So that's the whole idea. Like, no dual reporting could have been the title. So how can the example be dual reporting? Stable counterparts makes total sense. And it's kind of like enhanced cross-functional execution without the downsides of a matrix organization. That's exactly what it is. Transparent KPIs and OKRs makes sense. I think that's one of the differences. KPIs and OKRs are, although not all organizations do them, it's becoming more and more conventional wisdom. I think one insight I'm missing in other organizations is that the OKRs are frequently the delta in KPIs. Like, you want to improve a KPI, therefore you have an initiative, and that's what you're going to work on for that quarter. If you're not doing your OKRs to improve KPIs, then either you're missing KPIs or you have the wrong OKRs. Iteration is execution. Which I like the title. What are we trying to say here? Like, iteration enables execution or speeds up execution or makes it less binary, or iteration makes sure there's always progress. I was trying to convey that a successful iteration should be celebrated as execution. I think there's a tendency to only celebrate the quote unquote end state and not the iteration. And I've noticed that you've tried to shift that focus to really celebrate on the iteration. Otherwise, people tend to do less of it. So that was what I was trying to convey here. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Maybe there's also a line of how iteration enables execution, because it's our most important way in which we enable that.
Okay, I could potentially replace is with enables. I'll do some thinking on that.
Cool, thanks for that. Single source of truth.
I need a better example of this one.
Yeah. We had not sure that's a great example, but recently we merged something with like what time zones we use for different meetings. That's something where we had duplication before and we were able to straighten it out. I'm not sure the best example in the world, but it's one that comes to mind. I also think it's very common. If you just have all your materials in spreadsheets, it's very easy for the same materials, or even like different materials about the same subject for multiple states to exist at the same time. But it should link to an MR basically, right? If we can't even, we have to give a real example.
Right, yeah.
Prioritize due dates over scope. It's great. It's basically the iteration example, but I think it makes sense. It's like a steady release cadence. That's not the iteration example per se. No, I like it. It's great that we have it. I think the example, one more thing, maybe not an example, one more thing we can mention is that we released over 100 times on the same date of the month. Like we cut scope instead of waiting for something. That train going on time just enables a whole bunch of other things. There's a few things that you can consider adding to the page. One thing is key meetings. They might feel natural to you because you've worked here for a while, but I can tell you, it's really weird to have a meeting with multifunctional executives where the department presents, here's our KPIs, here's our OKRs, here's how we're trending against them, here's what's top of mind for us, what we are thinking about. Normally, that's a more of an informal discussion between the department and their manager, many times me. What we do with the key meetings is we broaden the audience that could give suggestions, feedback, advice, and we make the department think more about like, okay, where am I falling short? What am I gonna do about it? I think having that as a very regular cadence and kind of a core part of our company is pretty special. Another thing is the group meetings. Group meetings is like same content as key meeting, but not with like executives, but with all team members are invited. And that's to give people context. Execution is not just about executing your thing, but also understanding what other people are executing on and making sure everyone understands the goals and can share concerns. I think group meetings, again, are very special. You don't see that. You don't see like department reporting on OKRs and KPIs, just inviting the whole company to come discuss that and just devote the whole meeting to just questions being asked about that. There's also other things we do. I think that might not be very special, so we might not include it here, but doing regular performance reviews. But maybe that's consensus now. We don't need to add that. Another thing is I miss our efficiency value and some things that we have in there that enable execution. I think execution is also about how much you can do. And I think efficiency enables that. And I miss the results value and some of the things that align with that. So those would be two values to maybe look into a little bit more, see if there's material there.
In efficiency, I feel like the boring solution one, I'd have a million examples of that.
Boring solution is a great one. Boring solution, I think, is a good one to include for sure.
Thank you. Is there anything that comes to mind as a specific example that you'd love for me to highlight?
Let's go over our values. Write things down. Maybe you can include that in single source of truth. Maybe not. This should probably be removed from the values. It might feel too much, but like that we don't present in meetings. Like our meetings are like less than half the length than most companies. And we tend to get more takeaways from the meetings written down than in other companies. So since most management people spend the majority of their time in meetings, I think that's a big deal.
I like that one. It feels much more lightweight as well. A lot of these seem very heavy. They're a heavy lift to implement. And so it's nice to counteract that with some light lift.
Yep. If you talk about execution, you get what you measure. We measure execution, not hours.
That's a critical one, especially for transitioning orgs who are stuck on measuring hours.
I think that we have the success factors in every job family is really important. And that's not obvious. Most companies don't have that. escalate to unblock, yeah, might not be special enough. Disagree, commit, and disagree might be a fun one. I think most people are like, disagree, commit is considered the most innovative to date. I think we are, so this is a non-obvious one to me.
Yeah, I like that. Any of them which are relevant enough, like that's a good example of someone may have heard that from a different permutation of it, but then it's our approach to it, slight different twist on it.
Cool, that was all.
Good stuff. Thanks for the advice, Sid.